Hey YouTube, wanted to do a quick video today to share with you guys some techniques that I use when targeting for fluke. It's pretty early in the season and I'm fishing out of the north shore of Long Island, and as you can see here there's not much of a current, and what isn't quite so obvious in this video is that I am going backwards and pedaling slightly so that I can get a bit of action in terms of making sure that the lure is moving. Straight jigging up and down works, but you need to cover some space. And so what I'm doing here is, as you can see, I'm pointing right on shore, working backwards into the deep. And I believe the water depth when I started jigging was around 30 feet. And when I got this bite, it was when it dropped almost to 40. As you can see, it's a pretty huge bite. Almost getting the tip of my rod into the water. Pretty excited at this point, knowing that, wow, this is going to be some kind of fish. Wasn't quite sure what it was until I saw some color and realized that it was a monster fluke. And I actually missed it the first go around with the net because it just wouldn't fit. And so finally I got it in, and wow, I mean, this thing was, I think I weighed it and it was over 6 pounds. So really a nice surprise. The water temperature at this time was around 64 degrees, so it's pretty cold still. Usually when the fluke are biting, it's around 70-71 degrees. That's typically ideal for them to be very aggressive. But in this video, what's interesting is that I didn't really get too many bites, but when I did, it was pretty massive fish. But I took the gamble of getting out into slightly deeper waters than I normally fish, especially during the summertime. And that's a more realistic shot of a 24-inch fluke. Not holding it up in front of me, just putting it right down on the ruler. So unfortunately, I didn't get footage of the second keeper that I got shortly after. But this is a picture showing that I changed it up a little bit in terms of what gulp I was using. I was using a Gulp Nemesis in the nuclear chicken color, and yeah, this netted me a 21-inch fluke. And it's really important to know really why this technique works so well, and that's understanding how bait fish behave. So knowing that fluke are very aggressive predatory fish, they wait for the tide to change over, typically on the outgoing, and wait for all the bait fish to spill over. And so with this particular technique on the kayak, and I'm working backwards, that's really what I'm doing. I'm kind of playing to the expectation of the fluke. And so by working backwards as well, I think it helps out, because as I'm seeing it on the fish finder, I'm seeing the depth changes, and I'm also seeing potentially some bait balls that I'm going under. Normally when I see that, I know that the lure is not too far behind, and eventually it will go over right into that spot. When I'm past the bait ball itself, that's usually when I get the bite. And that happens because the only thing that's left after all the small fish that swam away is the bucktail. And so here is my third fish, not quite as big as the other two, but still measured around 20 inches. So yeah, it was a great day. I certainly can't complain. I had a lot of fun, and I got to take home 3 fish. So early on in the season, 3 fish, not quite the limit, but wow, definitely a great day on the water. And so the last thing I'm going to mention is the rig. I typically use a 2-ounce bucktail with various Gulp products. As you can see here, I'm using a pink and white grub. I think I went actually down to a 4-inch grub in this particular setup, and instead of using a candy teaser rig up top, I used a tsunami swim bait. Now I have my reasons for that, and I'll kind of get into that in another video, but yeah. And here's the obligatory picture on the ruler to measure at about 20 inches. And so yeah, very happy with that, and yet another picture of what I have to fillet. With that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.